Hello and welcome back to the channel. I'm Crashy, and today we're going to be diving into a discussion about this this thread coming from Dave Guskin, the game director. I believe that's his title. Yeah, game director, design director for Riot Games, and of course for Riftbound. You've probably already seen this, but we're going to kind of dive in, give our thoughts, and yeah, let's go ahead and get into it. Thank you so much for watching. Drop a like on the video, subscribe to the C2R channel for future Riftbound content. So, hey Riftbounders, TLDR, more in the thread, 1 out of 11. We're discussing card bans in the near future based on overly dominant play patterns, but none to announce today nor expected date for bans. 2. Expect a separate rules update on 3:30 for the new mechanic being introduced in our next set, Unleashed, as well as a few clarities around penalties, judge rewind, edge cases, and more. So this part I'm specifically interested in. Mainly judge rewind. There's been a lot of discussion in the community about the way that judging is handled in this game. It is a very complex game, and I know that there's a lot of rules. Not all of the judges are entirely polished completely 100%, but you know, it's kind of with the territory, considering the fact that the game is rather complex and that the game is new, and that judging also comes with a learning curve. So really interested to see stuff about that, judging and kind of rule enforcement as a whole, and we'll see about other things surrounding penalties, edge cases, and more. So let's go ahead and get into it. We're watching the meta evolve after Spirit Forged in large competitive events like the 4 minor opens held in China, along with RQs in Bologna and Vegas, and have been keeping a close eye on strategies that may become too dominant, creating frustrating play patterns. We promise to keep you updated if we're considering bans, and based on what we're seeing, we've begun internal discussions about the possibility. As we shared last month, our philosophy is that bans should only be used as a last resort. For us to remove a card from play, there needs to be a strong and specific reason, and we must firmly believe the change will significantly improve the player experience. Our goal is to take a careful approach, ensuring that as many cards as possible in each set remain viable. If we do see a concerning trend across all levels of play, we'll respond as quickly and as decisively as we can. We're watching as the meta continues to develop and reviewing the data, and no final calls have been made quite yet. We'll wait until after the Shenzhen, major open in late March before making any changes. As we promised, we've committed to not making large changes so close to competitive events to try and ensure players have a chance to play test and adapt. See, this is this part of the communication right here is super important to me, mainly just for the reason that this is Riot. They've been around for a while, and they understand the importance of not making silly decisions where they impact an entire metagame like right before a major tournament. So I like to see this type of communication, but at the same time, there's going to always be a lot of people that don't really care about that, because not everybody's playing in the biggest major events. And I wonder if there should be some concessions with things like this made, where they actually could make changes just for the betterment of the game as a whole, regardless of upcoming tournament format. Also, just because every now and then when you do it, it kind of keeps people on their toes. But I think overall, this is the proper way to go about it, and the better way to handle it. So, and then it also says we also have a rule update arriving March 30th. This update includes support for the upcoming Unleashed mechanics and improvements to rules clarity around penalties, judge rewinds, ambiguities, and other edge cases. I wonder what the new mechanic is. I think it's going to be... I'm trying to take a guess at something to do with Unleashed is a jungle set. I almost wonder if there's some form of stealth or bush mechanic or something. I don't know, just guessing. Until those updates arrive, rulings may vary slightly between events by region, and players should continue to follow the rulings provided by their local judges. That's all for today. It's been exciting and humbling for both myself and the entire Riftbound team to watch the community grow, see new decks and strategies emerge from players all around the world. Keep the questions, suggestions, and feedback coming. We'll do our best to continue to stay transparent, proactive with updates like these, and thanks as always for your continued support. So, my thoughts. I think this kind of communication is incredible. I think that this kind of communication is going to really keep the dialogue going and makes the community feel very understood and heard. Now, specifically, they've already said that they're considering bans, but they've made no decisions, and we don't even have a date for it yet. But I think that the obvious things that they're going to be looking at is in the chaos domain. I think that called shot, stack deck, rebuke, fight or flight, combinations of these cards mixed with, which is what one of my personal issues with the game currently is, the definition of combat when it comes to Draven, leading to kind of situations where there's just a ridiculous amount of draw in the game, and it's really being accessed by a few decks that can run these certain types of engines. Ezreal called shot fizz with you know, the ability to replay it multiple times, stack deck just being one of the best, most efficient draw cards in the game. And it really does ask, or like beg the question, what is the right thing to do, or what is like the overall community preference? So for me personally, I'm coming from Pokemon as my last TCG. I don't have a lot of experience with card bans, and I don't really have a lot of opinions about it. In my opinion, I think that leaving something broken for months or years is probably worse than just making a decision to ban something. And I also, when it comes to erratas, I'm not super familiar with that either. I personally, I gotta say it, this could be a terrible take, and I would love to hear your thoughts in the comments down below. I hate erratas. I hate having to keep some kind of back of my mind knowledge when playing the game about the fact that they changed a physical card that I have to keep, you know what I mean? Like it's clunky, it's dirty to me. I don't really like it. So personally, I think that I would like bans over erratas if a card was truly causing an issue. But it's something that I would love to hear, you know, other opinions and thoughts on as well. As far as an actual ban list, personally, I think that Called Shot is the biggest perpetrator of what's going on. I think the fact that you can, at action speed, draw multiple cards, you know, by spending the power and floating the energy, and then use that same consistent energy that you are now floating to pay for some of the cards that you pulled, it just feels like a mechanic that is just far too strong. It feels like, you know, you have the ability to find the answer without much commitment right away, and then the commitment follows post the play, or like post finding the answer, and that just doesn't seem like it should be something. Like it is a frustrating play pattern to me, something that just shouldn't exist in the game. So personally, I do think that like cards like Rebuke are incredibly strong, but the cost feels like it's there. It is very, very strong, especially in a format where we just have so much, you know, equipment and gear. And you know, the combination of the way that combat is defined, the way that you have insane amount of draw and chaos, the way that you can, you know, pull that draw, spend that floating power, it just, or use that draw to pull an answer to spend the floating power. It just feels like those combinations of things, on top of the fact that you have Ezreal and Vex reducing costs, making cards completely for free, that is a problem in there somewhere. Now, I'm definitely no TCG game designer, and I definitely don't have the answer, but I think that simple bans for cards that are creating or like sitting in the very center of that issue could be the way to go about it. Like, for example, I really hate Rebuke, but I don't actually know that I think that Rebuke is a problem. I think a combination of like Ezreal Called Shot is more of a problem than something like Rebuke. So I also don't think that Ezreal should be banned. He could maybe be errata in some way, and again, not a huge fan of that. But yeah, this is my overall thought. I think that the general sentiment that I'm having at the moment is that communication like this is incredibly important. It's very, very well received. I think that people have the ability to kind of get behind the eyes, or, you know, put themselves in the situation or in the room of the discussion with some of these developers and what they're thinking going forward. I guess that this now basically confirms that at some point we're going to have bans, which, you know, you never know. You never know. Because like I said, my last TCG just doesn't ban anything at all, and you have to deal with everything for a really long time. So that's my overall thoughts. I would love to hear what yours are in the comment section down below. Make sure you drop a like on the video. Check out the links in the description. We definitely will have TOPCUT GEAR sleeves, best sleeves on the market, the best price, best value. And you can use code C2R10 to get 10% off. As always, friends, be sure to be kind to one another. Tell someone you love them. And I'll see you on the next video.